Every anime fan knows the feeling. The villain's monologuing about destiny or evolution or how this world needs reshaping, and you're already grinning because you've seen what they haven't. The absolute wrong person they just picked a fight with. That gap between a villain's confidence and the hammer about to fall is one of the medium's sharpest pleasures. It's the reason we keep showing up. Today, I'm counting down moments where a villain made one specific, catastrophic error in target selection, where the smirk faded, the plan unraveled, and the story quietly handed them the bill.
おい、お前、こんなの初めてだ。わかるか？ああ、僕の敵。俺が手をつかされた。あんなガキに。
Koyama was supposed to be a warm-up, one of Claw's ultimate five. Bulked up, smirking, built to physically flatten anyone in his weight class. He catches Mob off guard, beats him down, and treats the whole encounter like a sparring session he's winning on autopilot. What he doesn't clock is Mob's percentage climbing in the corner of every frame. I love this fight because it isn't framed as a fight at all. It's a countdown. When Mob hits 100% and that quiet, stripped-down burst of power lands, Koyama goes from boss-tier threat to background debris in a single exhale. No speeches, no taunts traded, just a kid who'd been holding himself together all day, finally letting go, and a bully discovering what he was actually poking.
認めよう。今はお前が強い。ギガチャー。
There's a specific flavor of arrogance only Gilgamesh can pull off. He owns the original of every weapon ever forged. He is the prototype of heroes. So when a fake Magus kid named Shiro Emiya keeps dragging himself back to his feet, Gilgamesh isn't frustrated, he's personally offended. And that's the opening Shiro needs. I love how UBW builds to this payoff. Shiro doesn't outpower the King of Heroes, he out-philosophizes him. When the reality marble unfolds and infinite swords bloom across a dying sky, Gilgamesh is suddenly standing in a space where every one of his treasured originals is just inventory. Matched, copied, worthless. The Golden Archer spent the whole route treating Shiro like a mongrel. The mongrel built a world to answer him.
どうした？物理とつくんじゃねえのか。こんな風に。
体が動かない。なぜ？なんだこの巻きついているものは。
Steely Dan might be the most pathetic villain on this list, and I mean that with love. He wedges lovers into Joseph's brain and spends the whole arc lording it over Jotaro, kicking him, making him apologize, humiliating him in public, because any damage reflects back onto Joseph. For a solid chunk of the episode, Jotaro just takes it, deadpan, hands in pockets, cigarette unmoved. It's almost uncomfortable to watch, which is the whole point. The second Kakyoin and Polnareff extract the stand, Steely Dan's swagger evaporates faster than his hair gel. What follows is one of the most cathartic aura sequences in the franchise. A full tax return for every insult, every coin, every slap. You don't poke a JoJo protagonist and expect to walk away. Bad math.
バカな。俺は巨人だぞ。人間の姿のまま。 俺を殺す気か。これがパラディ島の悪魔。
The The raid on the barrio is the episode where I finally accepted Eren wasn't coming back. Porco goes into that fight as a Marleyan warrior, a veteran jaw titan, confident in his speed and his cause. He's on home soil. He has backup. He's the apex predator in the room, on paper. And Eren is already 3 moves ahead, hardened, patient, letting Porco land bite after bite on a body he's prepared to sacrifice. When Eren reveals the Warhammer has been waiting inside that crystal underfoot the whole time, Porco's entire worldview collapses in the space of a bite. No dignity, no last stand, just the quiet horror of a soldier realizing he was cannon fodder in a play he didn't know had already started without him.
早い。
何してんだ。
今手を出せばやられていた。何なんだこいつは。隙だらけなのに俺の直感が大音量で危険信号を発している。
Alright, this one's funnier than it is serious, but the structure still counts. Carnage Kabuto spent a full week in a sealed chamber evolving himself into a genuinely terrifying form. The kind of threat the House of Evolution built an entire underground lab around. He breaks out, levels the place, and corners Saitama while raving about how he'll kill everything that moves for a week straight. Saitama, meanwhile, is trying to remember whether the supermarket sale ends today. That's when Kabuto commits the worst possible strategic mistake. He triggers his final unstoppable carnage mode. 1 punch later, Kabuto is pasted on the wall. No sale missed. The villain prepped harder for this fight than anyone else in Season 1 and got less screen time for it.
私の大切な部下に何をする。無茶をするな、注意。私が片付けると言ったはずだぞ。
Envy loves the game. That's their whole character. The smirk, the shape-shifting, the glee of tormenting humans with their own pettiness. When Mustang corners them in the tunnels, Envy thinks they know exactly how to play him. Taunt him about hues, wear the dead friend's face, push the grief button until he snaps. It works at first, and that's the trap. Mustang doesn't snap the way Envy wants. He ignites Envy from across the corridor, methodically, over and over, each flame more controlled than the last. No roars, no speeches, just a man doing arithmetic with fire. By the time Hawkeye and Scar arrive to stop him, Envy has been reduced to their shriveled true form, begging, confused. That scene taught me what competent vengeance actually looks like. If you were enjoying this list, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you were new here. It will truly help us. Thanks.
P2 isn't even trying to be cruel by this point. That's the strange, awful thing about the scene. By the time Gon reaches the palace, P2 is focused on saving Komugi, genuinely pleading, and part of me wanted Gon to hear it. He doesn't. Kite is already gone, and Gon has made a choice he will never walk back from. When he asks, quietly, almost politely, whether P2 is definitely, truly unable to help, the air in that room changes pressure. What comes next isn't a power-up, it's a sacrifice. Gon ages himself into his prime and erases P2 in a handful of blows, off-screen, like it isn't worth the cell work. P2 assumed they had time. They found a boy who had decided he didn't need a future.
みんなを助けるヒーローに。なれるかよ。
Overhaul is one of the only MHA villains whose plan actually felt threatening. Weaponizing Eri, unmaking quirks, carving out his own power base with surgical calm, the guy had a real blueprint. And then he touched a little girl, and Izuku Midoriya finally ran out of patience. I've rewatched this fight more times than I'll admit, specifically for the moment Deku syncs with Eri's rewind and pushes past 100% full cowling. Every punch is overclocked, every step is a crater. Overhaul spends the final exchange ballooning into monstrous merged forms, and each one gets pulverized harder than the last. You can see it in his eye before the final hit lands. The man who treated people like raw material, understanding finally that he was about to be remade. Glorious.
こんな重たいものよく持てるな。ああ、ノッカーの力ってすごいんだっけ？これなんていう武器だ？初めて見た。
The knockers don't monologue, they don't pose, they just keep coming. Faceless, persistent, designed to unmake the people Fushi loves. For most of the early series, I genuinely thought they were winning. Every time Fushi grows, they escalate. Every form he collects, they counter. Every person he bonds with, they mark for deletion. And that's why the shift lands as quietly as it does. Fushi stops running. He learns to hold ground. He protects Takunaha's hand, then Gugu's body, then entire cities full of strangers. The knockers picked a target who couldn't die, couldn't forget, and given enough grief, couldn't stop growing. By the time Fushi is sending his own forms into their realm to hunt them down, the war has quietly inverted. They gave him every reason to fight forever.
バカな。受け止めた。かわしたのならわかる。いや、本来ならかわせる速度ですらないはずだが、それでもかわしたというのならばまだわかる。だが受け止めた。
I've thought a lot about why Aizen lands so well as a villain, and I think it's because he spends the entire show 5 steps ahead of everyone else. Every twist is his plan. Every defeat was scripted. Every ally's betrayal was written into the margins. By the time he reaches Karakura, he isn't even trying. He's bored, condescending, narrating the hierarchy of existence like a lecturer addressing slow students. And then a kid with an oversized cleaver walks up the hill. Ichigo's been training in the Dengai, and when he unsheathes the final Getsuga Tensho, the God Act finally cracks. That slow turn of his head, that first hint of uncertainty after arcs of absolute control. A payoff Bleach had been quietly cooking for hundreds of episodes.
ただお前を殺す。また新しい呪いとして生まれたら、そいつも殺す。名前を変えても姿を変えても何度でも殺す。もう意味も理由もいらない。
Mahito is the kind of villain I find genuinely hard to watch, and that's meant as a compliment. He treats humans like clay, molding, bursting, and reshaping them for sport. And after killing Junpei, he looks at Yuji with something almost affectionate, like they're rival artists discussing technique. Then Todo shows up, and the board flips. The Black Flash chain begins, and suddenly Mahito is no longer a god of souls. He's a cornered animal, philosophy punctured punch by punch. Yuji grabs his face and reaches directly into his soul, and I felt the exact moment Mahito understood. The human he'd been monologuing at was the one person in Shibuya specifically built to touch him back. Evolution is a curse when the prey learns faster than you do.
アウラ自害しろ。ありえない。この私が。
Aura stands on her floating fortress, army behind her, smile dripping with the kind of smugness only 80 years of unchecked power can cultivate. She proposes a soul weighing contest, her unbeatable signature, certain no living mage holds more mana than her. That word does a lot of heavy lifting there. Living. I still remember the chill the first time Frieren calmly explained she'd been suppressing her mana for over a century, out of habit. Aura's face doesn't even earn the dignity of a slow-motion realization. She's commanded to kill herself by her own technique, and the sky clears. The fortress drifts quiet, no speech, no victory pose, just a centuries-old elf closing a file she opened long before Aura was born. Clinical, almost bored. That's what makes it terrifying.
That's my list. 12 villains, 12 spectacularly bad target selections, and 12 payoffs the writers clearly enjoyed cooking. If I missed one, and I know I did, I can already see the comments, drop it below. I have opinions on all of them. Like, sub, and I'll see you in the next one.